Okay, so hello and good evening to all of you. In our today's lecture, we will discuss the humidity. So let me define what actually humidity is. Humidity is nothing but the amount of water vapor in a certain amount of air. Okay, so in the atmosphere, the amount of water vapor in the air is called the humidity. And this air has, you can say, means there is a definite amount of humidity which can be held by a certain amount of air. If you enhance or increase the temperature of the air, then the water vapor holding capacity of that air can be increased, and if you decrease the temperature of the air, you would see that the water holding capacity of the air would decrease. So this humidity, as I have told you, that there is a certain amount of the humidity which can be held by the air. And what is this that certain amount? Just understand, let's say this is a box, okay, and the air is inside this box, and as I have told you that this air, whatever temperature it is, let's say there is 10 degree Celsius temperature of this air. As I have told you that this air can hold a specific amount of water vapor. So means if there is a certain amount of this water vapor can be held by this air, so we can say if the amount of the water vapor is 100% filled, 100% means the maximum capacity of this air of water holding if achieved, then we say that the air has been saturated. Means this saturated means if the maximum amount has been gone inside it of the water vapor, and if it is less, then it is non-saturated air. So how you can numerically understand it? Let's say 10 degrees Celsius temperature is there, and in 10 degrees Celsius temperature, the water holding capacity, let's say it is 10 kg. However, you can say water vapor, it's a cubic per meter, but for your understanding, let's say in 10 degrees Celsius temperature, 10 kg water vapor can be held. Okay, 10 kg. Now you need to know one thing, that if the temperature is decreasing, then automatically the water holding vapor holding capacity of the air would decrease, and if the temperature increasing, then it also increase. If the temperature is coming down as 5 degree Celsius, then the maximum capacity of holding the water vapor by the air, it would also decrease by 5 kg, and if it increases, then it also increase. So if in 10 degrees Celsius, let's say the water vapor, means let's say it can hold 10 kg water vapor, but only 5 kg is there. Only 5 kg is there. It means the air is 50% saturated. It is 50% saturated. And if means instead of 5 kg it goes 10 kg, it means now it has been 100% saturated. Why? Because as I told you that in any air there is a definite amount of humidity which can be held by that air. This is the air which has 10 degrees Celsius temperature, and its holding capacity, the maximum holding capacity of the humidity means of the water vapor, the maximum can be 10 kg. But if only 5 kg is there, then it does mean that the air is 50% saturated. It does mean that the air means air 50%, there is the scope of extra 50%. If it is 40% saturated, it means we can add 60% more. If it is 80%, it means there is only 20% scope is there. And if it is 100% saturated, it means that the maximum capacity of the water vapor holding capacity of that particular air has been achieved, and now this air has been saturated 100%. If you add anything extra beyond this 100%, then it cannot be accepted at all. If you want to make them accept, then either you have to increase the temperature, means not either means you have to increase the temperature, then the capacity can be increased. Okay, then the capacity of the water vapor holding can be increased by this air. You can understand the same example by a very simple logic. Let's say you have the capacity to eat 10 breads. I think 10 breads are quite more. Let's say the 5 breads. So your maximum hunger, it can be means sufficed by the 5 breads. So if you are eating more than 5 bread, it means it is not good for your health. If you are eating 6 or 7, it does mean that you are crossing your limit. And if you are crossing your limit, it does mean that you can also vomit, because you have crossed the maximum limit. So what happens after the saturation, means after, as in your case, after eating the 5 breads, you can be the prey of vomiting. You can met with the vomiting. In the same way, what happens when the extra goes something, then as I have told you that the maximum capacity is 10, and if the temperature is increasing, then it also means that whatever you added, then it will also go lower down. So if the temperature is decreasing, then in this case you are going to vomit. Vomit means here whatever, let's say the temperature goes 8. Earlier it was 10 kg, because the changes of temperature happens every moment. Now it is 10 degrees Celsius and 10 kg is there. After 1 hour the temperature goes 5 degree. So there was 10. So what would happen? It had to vomit. So this extra which goes in your body and you vomit it, in the same way what happens, it also vomits. So that vomiting, that vomiting has different types of forms. That vomiting, it has different types of forms. And this vomiting can be in the form of dew, and it can be in the form of ice crystal, and some other forms of precipitation. Some other parts of precipitation are also related with the entire activities. Means saturation, you need to understand what is the saturation point. Means 100% fulfillment of that air with the water vapor. And if you add anything extra, or if the temperature gets decreases, it does mean that whatever you have added extra, it is going to vomit in different forms. Okay, so one word is also there, that is known as the condensation. Condensation is nothing but it's a process of where the forms get changes. Means this water vapor, or you can say the air, means the water vapor changes in different forms. So condensation is a process which you can say means related with the change of the change of this water vapor in different forms. When it gets, and condensation happens once the air gets saturated. Once the air gets saturated, the condensation would happen. So what I would like to say that, you know, there is one thing that is known dew. It you see during the winter night. During the winter night, what happens when the sky is open? So temperature sometimes what happens? Temperature gets decreases, and when temperature gets decreases, so what I have told you that means in 10 degrees Celsius temperature 10 kg can be holded by this air, and in the winter night what happens when the temperature, because the terrestrial radiation is there, when the terrestrial radiation gets emitted by the surface, then what happens? Suddenly the temperature gets decreases, and as I have told you that once the temperature gets decreases, its capacity would also decrease. So let's say the 2 degree Celsius temperature is getting decreases, so the extra 2 kg convert in the form of dew. In the form, it would convert in the form of dew. Are you getting me or not? Okay, it would convert in the form of dew. So what as I told that it's nothing but you can relate the vomiting one, the form of vomiting, the form of condensation. Okay, so means this is called the dew. For so some other forms can also be there, and that other forms you can relate with the word precipitation, because for precipitation this I think is related very much, this condensation, this saturated state, and you can relate with the actually what happens most of the time we think this precipitation is mainly related with the rainwater. Okay, but let me tell you that snowfall is also the part of precipitation. The thing is that snowfall happens where the temperature is 0 or below 0 degrees Celsius, where the temperature is below the freezing point. Then you can see there the snowfalls happens, but all the activities are related with this one, the extra. There is 10 degrees Celsius, let's say there is 0 degrees Celsius and temperature goes in minus. Then again whatever amount was reserving for that 0, if you are going in the minus, so that extra would also go. Are you getting me? So snowfall happens in this way. In the 0 degrees Celsius there is some amount which can be holded by that particular air as a form of water vapor. Once the temperature, let's say in Jammu and Kashmir, where you go with your co-partner and enjoy the weather, the scenery of that particular place, and you bath by that snowfall. It's very famous in India. So when the temperature goes below 0 degrees Celsius, then the extra amount, because in 0 degrees Celsius water it's gets converted in the form of ice, so that extra amount it gets converted in the form of snowfall. Okay, now you can also relate one thing that is known as the hailstorm. Let me tell you that all the things are related with this saturation point. The extra gets converted in different form, and those different forms means some of the forms comes under the you can say precipitation. The rainfall when this saturations happens means above the 0, not below the freezing point, then rainfall occurs. Rainfall and snowfall, there is nothing any difference, only the temperature is the matter. If here the temperature goes below the kind of temperature we enjoy in Srinagar or in Leh or Ladakh, then here this snowfall can very easily happen. So the matter is related with the temperature. Now the rainfall, it always happens means if you talk about the water drops, so that is related with the rainfall, and you can say the temperature should be more than the freezing point. Okay, you can take one this 10 degree, and if the 5 degree comes, then the extra amount would convert in the form of a rainfall. So this rainfall, now the hail storm I was discussing. This hail storm, actually these are the you can say means rounded solid particles of ice. Rounded solid particles of ice, layer by layer. So these hailstorm, actually what happens, when the temperature is quite low, sometimes, and as you go upward, the temperature is quite low. So sometimes what happens, as you know, the vertical air is also blowing. So when the temperature is low, so any, you can say, water drop, means if the temperature of that particular place is low, then what would happen, that water drop gets converted in a very small ice particle, rounded circle. But as I have told you that the vertical airs are also blowing, then sometimes what happens, this means particle, the circular particle of ice, it spends a lot of time in the space, and when it spends a lot of time in the space, then what happens, it gets larger and larger. Larger and larger means not as big as some stone like structure, big stone, but means little larger. Why? Because it is spending enough time, and when the time is being spent, then automatically, since the temperature is low, so automatically the layer of the ice would be, you can say, attached with that one. But what happens, as I have told you, that the gravitational force is also working on the planet, on the Earth's surface. So there is, means everything has its own limit. So when this means you can say goes beyond the, you can say, means holding capacity by that space, since the on the surface the gravitational force is working, so it comes down. It comes down, and when it comes down, then you better need to wear the helmet, otherwise your head might be broken, because it's quite dangerous. Okay, so this is known as the hailstone or hail. Okay, so these are nothing but the you can say related with this thing which I have told you, the extra, the condensation, you need to understand. No, means the saturation stage. Beyond the saturation, whatever extra is there, and that extra means once the you decrease the temperature, then everything happens. I think, are you getting me? Okay, so this was the main terms which was related with the humidity, the precipitation, and how this hailstorm comes under the precipitation, and this rain, as I have told you that when the you can say means condensation happens above the freezing point, then instead of the ice particles, the water drops comes on the planet, on the surface, then we know it as a rainfall. As far as rainfall is concerned, there are three types of the rainfall. The one is known as the convectional, the second is known as the orographic, okay, orographic, and the third one is known as the frontal, okay, frontal, or it's also known as the cyclonic, okay, cyclonic. So convection, okay, orographic, and this frontal rainfall. The convectional rainfall, it mainly happens in means this tropical region, not tropical, in equator region, where this temperature is quite high, and once the temperature is quite high, then the air molecules become lighter. When these air molecules become lighter, they go upside, since they are lighter in weight. When they go upward, the temperature gets decreases, okay, and once the temperature gets decreases, the condensation happens, and means the convectional rainfall comes into existence. It's quite simple. Orographic rainfall. Orographic rainfall is related with the mountain region. Mountain region, there is a word that is called the rain shadow portion. Actually, what happens in the orographic rainfall, as you know, that the air which has moisture in itself, within itself. So let's say the air is blowing in this direction. Okay. Now the air has moisture within it. What happens? This is the mountain. Okay. So this is the mountain. So means air cannot crack this mountain. Okay. Air has to go like this. So when it goes like this, then it attains the height. and once the height is being attained by this air, as I have told you that in the height, the temperature is lower and the condensation happens, and you see one of the form of the condensation as a form of rain. Now, so this portion, since the air is blowing from this direction, so this portion attains a major portion of the rain. Let me tell you, there are two places in India. However, there are so many places, but one is given as an example in NCERT. That one is known as the Mahabaleshwar. Okay, Mahabaleshwar. It is located in Maharashtra, and Pune. It is also known as the, I think, Cambridge of South India. Pune, their latitudinal position is similar, but this Mahabaleshwar, it is located in this direction. Therefore it attains 700 millimeter rainfall. Meter or millimeter, what is this? Okay, so 700 something, I will correct it, whatever it is. And this Pune only receives 60, whatever it is. You can relate, means it 700 and it's 60. Why Pune receives 60? Because Pune is located in the rain shadow portion. And Mahabaleshwar in this side. So this is the orographic rainfall, which is related with the mountains. Now the third is the frontal rainfall. Okay, now let me tell you actually what are the fronts. For understanding the front, you need to understand the air mass. And air mass are nothing but the patches of the air. Patches of the air means you can say, these patches have this similar property. Similar property means if let's say this air patch is 60 kilometer or 100 kilometer or 200 kilometer long, and its height can be maximum up to the troposphere. So this 100 kilometer whatsoever the length and the height is, everywhere from 1 kilometer and up to 100 kilometer, everywhere the same temperature will be. What properties are there? Properties are equally distributed throughout this air patch. So these air patches can be warm and can be cold. Okay, and these air masses can be divided on the basis of if this air mass is located on the earth, on the ground, then it is known as the continental air mass. And if it is located over the ocean, then it is known as the maritime air mass. If it is related in the polar region, in the North Pole, definitely it would be cool. Then it would be known as the polar air mass. So this way we can divide. Now let me tell you actually what are the fronts. What happens when two air masses, let's say one is the cold and the another is the warm. When cold air mass or warm air mass, when they come in each other's contact, in the contact of each other, then this meeting portion is known as the front. And when they come with each other, what happens? Sometimes this is the colder air mass and this is the warmer one. Since they are colliding from each other, they are coming in the contact of each other. So if this colder air mass is very active in comparison to the warmer air mass, so what would happen? It would push to this warmer air mass. When it would push to this warmer air mass, so the slope becomes very steepy. And in this case, the rainfall is very, you can say, very fast, or you can say the intensity of the rainfall is quite high. This cyclonic type of rainfall happens here. So this rainfall is quite, you can say, its intensity is quite high. However, what happens when this warm air mass pushes this colder air mass? Let me tell you that in both the conditions, warm air mass is always go up. But you can see means when it is active enough, okay, even in this case it would go up. But what happens when this one active and it goes up, then the rainfall which takes place, that rainfall is not very aggressive in nature. You know, a breeze, like you can say, means very light rainfall occurs. So this is known as the, means, you know, frontal formation happens, the rainfall happens because of the front formation. That rainfall is known as the frontal rainfall. Okay, so this was as far as this condensation, precipitation, and the types, you know, means frontal and all these concern. In the next chapter I will discuss something else. Thank you.